Well, a very good morning and welcome aboard. It's time for the topical discussion, and this morning we'll be focusing on the odds and the stakes in, plus of course the undercurrents in the things that seem to be making headlines and how they relate to the current politics of the nation and the state of affairs. The country is just reeling from an election, a fierce one that saw the legal rebel Atanaba ascend to the top seat as president of the Uganda Law Society. How much should we expect? Or is it too early to expect too much from Isaac Ssemakadde? Besides, as Bobi Wine now announces that he's throwing his hat in the ring for the second time to challenge President Museveni come 2026, what are the stakes? What are the odds for him as he embarks on yet another electoral journey? Does the ground favor him? And what does this mean for the opposition in the whole affair of elections? We'll also be looking at quite a number of other things that are affecting national politics. And this morning, I'm joined by Council Ivan Bowe, a member of the opposition and a political analyst. Good to have you. A very good morning.
It's a pleasure to be here this morning, and I cannot wait to engage in this discussion.
Well, very good. During the course of the show, we'll also be joined by Council Joshua Byamazima, who was campaign agent for Isaac Atukunda, the running mate, the contender in the just concluded ULS election. We'll also be joined by Honorable Fred Mukasa Mbide, a former Iyala legislator and council. Good to have you. And well, you supported Isaac Ssemakadde. You won by a landslide. What does this suggest?
First and foremost, I want to congratulate my brother and the members of the Uganda Law Society for reclaiming their space. This election was historical because we have never had such a turnout. More than half of the members on the roll participated in the election. That shows that they see value and they want to have their voices heard. And to me, that is a win already for our Uganda Law Society. What happened on Saturday will go down in history of the Uganda Law Society.
It's billed as a referendum against the state, against... isn't it overhyped, you think?
No, it's not overhyped. And it was not a referendum on the state per se, but it was a referendum on whether the members, wanted to maintain the status quo or wanted a 360 degrees turn. And it was very clear with that win margin that members wanted something different. I want to perhaps inform the general public that the Ugandan Law Society is a member-based organization.
True.
And member-based organization should look out for the interests of the members first, and then cover the other interests, for example, national interests that are actually within the law. So, to me, we spoke loud and clear, and now the campaign has ended. We have a president. We have a council. I also do not want...
But you're not mending fences yet. When you listen to the inaugural speech of the president, he still sounded very vindictive towards Chiriowa Chiwanuka, towards the former presidents, specifically describing Obundo as a nothing doer, a bunny boy.
Well, we might differ in terms of the choice of the words, but we might agree on the principle. And this is what I think at the end of the day, is that it takes two to tango. We know that clearly immediately after that, after that election, a group instantly, barely 10 minutes after, started organizing themselves to form a parallel body.
Is this true?
Yeah, it is true. I hear they even have a WhatsApp group. What does that show you? That we went through a democratic process. We came up with a president and a council. It's not because we are not like a big man show in Uganda Law Society. We have a council, of which the Attorney General, the Honorable Attorney General, is part of it by law. The governing council of Uganda Law Society. But the actions of some of my colleagues, one, clearly state that they do not believe in democratic processes, 1, 2. And 2 is that they have not been gracious in laws, you know. And so usually even when leadership imposes those that have power to always reach out, but also those...
Yeah, but your team is not magnanimous. Your team is vindictive.
No. Me, I am not vindictive.
No. You're going by the tone of your president.
You see, when you say a team, it means that it is more than one. You cannot round us up and say we are vindictive. You might note that I do not mention the Honorable Attorney General's name, as some of my colleagues might. That does not mean that I don't have serious reservations about his role in terms of disabling Uganda Law Society. And these are not things we are saying now. We just say them differently, you know? We just bang the table in different proportions, but the aim and the principle remains that the Honorable Attorney General has been on the forefront of making sure he disables Uganda Law Society. And I wrote an article some time back, months ago, as early as Feb, speaking about his role in disabling.
So Semakad is getting in there with that attitude.
As I
Yet,
said,
the Attorney General is head of the bar. Do you appreciate that?
yes, we do appreciate that. And still in the same realm, you will find to it that even in another article, I said that there are serious issues. There are serious issues with the ULS Act. And in my view, in my humble opinion, that it is obsolete. And there is still a strong opinion about the ULS that was authored by myself and published in the papers 2 years ago. And this was immediately after the election of Mr. Bernard Owundo. And I warned that ULS must seek its relevance first to itself, to the members, and the country. So when you look at things, the way of operation in the Ugandan Law Society, they are not things of today. Some of us have been longing for years for a radical change, for a radical bar.
Has it come?
I think we have it. I believe we have it. And people mistake the radical nature of lawyers. Our training, generally, is to challenge the status quo, challenge things. That is who we are as lawyers.
Well, very interesting. Thank you very much. And, well, I'm joined by Counsel Joshua Byamazima, who was the lead campaigner for Isaac Akunda. Isaac came out and acknowledged he had lost, congratulated Isaac Semakade, and wished him all the best. But later, in the aftermath, we gather you're forming a parallel bar association. How true is this?
It's quite interesting, Mr. Simon, and thank you for having me on this show and finding my comrade here. He makes quite interesting points, but I think the freedom of association is very clear in the Constitution. It is not very oblivion that it has not happened anywhere. It is possible for the members that feel their views will not be presented by a person that does not present the values and the core of the Uganda Law Society. Maybe they could take that.
Are you part of the divorcing members?
I would have loved to be part of it, and I'm hoping it gains the momentum it deserves and it gets out there. Maybe it could be a good idea, really.
Aren't you coming off as sore losers?
I think sore losers in a democracy like the Uganda Law Society is far overreaching, and that is a very word that he's using. For a leader really to now start clustering people, you know, when you ascend to leadership, you represent those that have supported you and those that haven't supported you. So that mentality of I won, you lost, really talks to the deep end of the kind of leadership.
Okay, you failed to contend with the loss. Moreover, you're now walking away from a noble society that had the values, or that has the values that you subscribe to.
Simon, you assert that we are walking away, but the movement, we are not saying that you are divorcing the Uganda Law Society. No, there are alternative views. You as a leader, you should be telling us that I can listen to you. So for those that feel at even the onset of his governance, he has spent only 2 days in office, but they feel he will not represent my views. I think that shouldn't be taken lightly.
Okay, so what then is the fate of Uganda Law Society? Do you want to suggest that it's all doom and gloom?
Firstly, I would suggest just looking at the character of the individual now at the helm of the Uganda Law Society. He's not leading it upward. He will drive the Uganda Law Society into River Nile. That is for certain. Because he will drive that society into River Nile. I can tell you for guarantee that yes, he's a good leader, he's a brilliant gentleman, but leadership requires more than quoting and being in court. It goes far beyond strategic litigation. It goes far beyond public litigation.
Okay, what explains your reservations ab initio?
One, my reservations ab initio, number one is the character. Okay? It goes to the core of leadership. Number two is the approach of doing things. Okay? Yes, Mr. Ivan here says it is an opportunity to bang the tables. But what makes him think that you will be banging people's tables? Yes, they are paid by the taxpayer. Do you think you're going to walk into the office of the Attorney General and bang his table? Do you think you're going to walk into the office of the Chief Justice and bang his table? Ask him, he was at Makerere as a guild president. How many of those did he bang before he was ousted as president? It should also, let us preach what we have seen working.
Before he was ousted?
He knows it.
Who was ousted?
He knows it. No, he knows it. Before we go into that conversation, maybe you should also inquire. For those that are proponating for the banging of tables, how many of those have banged the actual tables? So that rhetoric could work, all right, to garner for you an election. But does it respond and answer to the questions? Now, as an individual, my biggest dissatisfaction and disappointment in a leader of a Mr. Isaac Semakade, you were a person, you were there in Munyonyo, you had his victory speech. Tell me really, why would you as a leader, you've ascended to power, and your first statement is to ridicule the former president, seated right in front of you, heckling in a room full of your supporters? It just demonstrates inefficiency and knowledge of leadership in the person that has ascended into power.
Well, how much do we need to contend with the weirdness of Semakade?
I think to a greater level of appreciation of things, tolerance is very important. And it does not mean that if you demanding tolerance from Semakade, our president, that you should be intolerant.
Who is being intolerant? In
So when people, when they declare the results, and in the first meeting they have is to form an association, that speaks a lot about them graciously losing. So the other thing is, he has talked about his speech. I will implore my brother to go and listen to that speech again. By the way, I believe it's one of the most quoted speech ever.
Yeah, but there were quite a number of distasteful things. Why would you ridicule the past president,
Yes.
for starters?
I want you to be very cautious when you're referring to the relationship between Mr. Semakade and Bernard. I want to tell you that I am one of those that didn't support Bernard in the previous election. I congratulated him publicly. Mr. Semakade, when we were at Imperial Botanical Gardens Hotel 2 years ago, supported wholeheartedly Bernard. And we went off very seriously. He was a core member of the team. And those two had set their own targets, and with the entire team that supported Mr. Oundo. We were opposed to it. We lost. I supported my learned sister, Chibuka. And when we lost, we congratulated Mr. Oundo. We warned. Some of us warned publicly, it's public knowledge, that if the society does not prioritize on the interests of the members and protection of the members, we are not short of disruptive tools. So I want us to give context to that and know that those two were in the same camp. Whatsoever they had agreed on is their business. Whether they were frustrated members, that is also true, and that reflects to date. That there were also reports that Mr. Bernard, the sitting president, was actively involved in making sure that the election is manipulated. There were allegations.
Seriously?
No. I want, you spoke, I listened, and I'm telling you.
Okay, you come in.
Yes, and I want to tell you that it is not right to just say things without giving them context. So there was already bad blood during the electoral process. Would I have handled it?
Does it really make sense for you to continue hounding the person who's been at the helm of the society for 4 years, actually?
No, 2.
2 years, 2 years, 2 years to be precise.
Yeah.
2 years.
Me personally, I would have handled it differently. Perhaps I would still hit at him, but in a different tone. I would use a different tone. So
you find it unpleasant?
So
do you?
That is not my place to say on determining how Mr. Semakade delivers his message. But I want to focus, I don't want to focus on that 1 or 30 seconds and leave the most important things about access to justice. About access to justice, protection of the members, expanding the law society to serve.
No, but first impressions count. First impressions count, don't they? How would or why would the president sound spiteful on day one?
I would also ask in the same realm, why would people want to establish a parallel organization 2 minutes after the declaration of the results. Do two wrongs make right? No. Do we
Joshua.
need to get to a higher standard?
Council
Yes.
Joshua, would you rather kill the baby now that you've lost?
No, we wouldn't. I think using the wisdom of King Solomon himself, he never killed the baby, right?
Yeah.
He gave it to the most loving of those. But Semakade is coming off as a backing dog.
Senior counsel, would you?
For correction, senior counsel is not on the day you are elected, all right? You need to serve the term and complete it, all right? That is coming off and you're titling him as senior counsel. Man may be impeached next week. He won't get that title, right? So
Is it anything on your cards?
all cards are on the table, right? All cards are on the table, right?
You're
But-
bitter.
But, but,
You're too
but, but you see, Simon.
You're coming off bitterly already.
No, we have to. That's why we need to check government, all right? We cannot be seated. It would be very disingenuous of us to simply sit and say, okay, you can lead us and take us wherever you want. Simon says a very bitter allegation on the past president that he had hopes of manipulating an election. Really? I was part and parcel of that election. I saw everything that went down. There were loopholes that one would leverage on to manipulate that election. But no one did. Okay?
Even with allegations that you hired some mercenaries to come and vote.
But the voter register...
Officials from the Attorney General's chambers and several other government officials were paid for to participate in the election, but you still lost.
Now you see, Simon, eh?
You had a weak candidate.
For a leader that feels that people in government parastatals, people in the Attorney General, do not qualify to be voters on that day, would be very dishonest. You go and ask him, he's a sitting president, how much does he have in the coffers now because of payment of those people? He doesn't see forward. As a leader, you need to forecast and see.
Okay.
To what advantage?
What's your take on the allegations that you had to pay state attorneys, you had to pay a team from the attorneys' chambers?
Simon, if we are to use the matrix, how many do you think came and voted for Isaac?
Or they betrayed you?
They didn't.
You paid for them and they betrayed you.
You see, it was a secret ballot, all right? If they were paid for, all right, they are members of the Uganda Law Society. The act is very clear, all right? Who is an eligible voter?
Do we need to probe that allegation, though?
I do not think, because it is a weak link. It is a weak link. That is a person really who doesn't even feel that they won on merit. And you see, there is a tendency with people like them. Because they win an election, that is when it is free and fair. Had it been otherwise, that they didn't win this election, they would say it was manipulated.
There is a very interesting equation here. A bitter winner and a bitter loser. What does it speak about the just concluded election?
For the betterment of the Uganda Law Society, really I think, for those people that have ascended into power, they need to get down and listen to the minorities, not the majority. The majority will agree with you.
The majority spoke.
But yes, now in governance and leadership, it should go far beyond majority and minority. You need to listen to those voices that are saying, no, we do not agree.
No, but the voices are parting ways already. They have not even given him audience.
Because he disappointed on first day in office. You were there.
No, there was premeditation of a divorce.
No. The divorce did not start immediately when he was being sworn in. No. It is after he spitted out. He was given an opportunity, donning the Uganda Law Society attire and instruments of power. That is when he used that opportunity to rebuke the outgoing president. That is unacceptable.
There's also a sense that you fear his broom. He's coming with radical changes. He claims he's coming with a 360-degree turnaround of the Law Society.
When have barking dogs bitten? Do they? I think he's a barking dog, right? To how much will he bite? I think he's taking in more than he can actually chew. While he has been in all these things of his, you see, what is interesting about even his people, they do agree that yes, maybe his methodology may not work for us, but he is the test of the leadership we want. And I said earlier that for every president that gets into the power, should really examine why is there a cartel of members that are saying the Uganda Law Society is not reaching them. He's saying, okay, we go for access to justice and what. But these, yes, are primary roles, but the Uganda Law Society does more than activism, does more than access to justice. You know why? He is not in tandem with in-house lawyers, because access to justice, yes, it is their business. Strategic litigation is their business, but that is not where they earn. That is not what they do. So we want a president that really looks far beyond, okay, self-gratification. Yes, he's been in activism.
But he had a message that bordered way beyond self-gratification. The message bordered pretty well with thousands of lawyers. No wonder the turn-up was huge in his support.
You see,
it was a landslide.
You see, Simon, there is a common denominator with all the supporters. I think they simply have a grudge with the Attorney General. And that should come off, all right?
No.
He said it. No, just a minute. He said it. And they are saying that, no. The Attorney General has been an excess in this government. But do we think the president of Uganda Law Society is most poised to defeat the powers that are enshrined with the Attorney General? No, I do not think so. So they have some sense of discontentment, all right, in this government. Actually, Semakade is running for presidency. It's not for Uganda Law Society. Because he's Semakade. His ideals, decentralization. You can ask Bowe, what is decentralization? What is decolonization? What is digitization?
So you want to say there is more to his victory than the assertion that it is for Uganda Law Society?
That is without a doubt.
So it's politics at play?
It's politics at play.
So I want one.
So it's opposition versus government?
You see, that dog won't hurt.
No lit bite.
You see, I am seated here with my learned brother, very disingenuous. Him choosing the Attorney General, him choosing Mr. Semakade, Council Semakade, of going after the Attorney General and the ex-president in the manner he went at them. Fair enough. The same individual is here on national TV calling the same person a barking dog. Derogatory to that effect. And, okay, even if we are to say, let us consider seniority, you know, this guy is a decorum guy.
But he chose that tag, the dog, the bark, the dog.
You see, even if we chose decorum, even if of which that was one of their running, their running points, that is not decorum.
Simon,
you see,
You
see, Council Semakade is your senior colleague. And he's senior to all of us, and I am your senior colleague. So we should be in position, even at the times when we are at the fence, to exercise what we preach. The other thing that I find quite interesting is that for you to determine a person is not going to work when you've not given them a chance. I think that is very unfair. I also think that the assumption that Mr. Semakade has no experience whatsoever, or his ideals are not based on facts or deep jurisprudential anchors, is also wrong. So I want to say that Mr. Semakade actually has been in leadership before. And the test, to me, the test of a good president is a president who challenges us members to do our role as a society.
As we take a very short break, I just want to remind Councillor Joshua that going by the Advocates Senior Council Regulations 2018, Semakade is referred to as Senior Counsel. It reads, Section 4, notwithstanding Regulation 3, an advocate who serves as the Attorney General or the President of the Uganda Law Society shall by virtue of the respective office be granted the rank of Senior Counsel and shall continue to be Senior Counsel after ceasing to be Attorney General or President of the Uganda Law Society, respectively.
Can we agree,
Simon, on one thing, that at least
Semakade Senior Counsel.
Semakade, yes, he will become senior counsel when
He
is
is
supposed
senior
to.
counsel.
I cannot call him senior counsel at this
Why?
point, all right? He does not serve that respect. He doesn't.
No, he's the president. Do you recognize him as the president? Legally,
He was-
and legitimately elected.
He was legitimately elected. That we can agree, all right? But on how we title him, that cannot be on me, all right? He needs to work for that.
Can you be a gracious lawyer?
I am
and
being gracious.
recognize Semakade as senior counsel?
You see-
and the president, is Semakade the president of Uganda Law Society?
You see, Simon, you're making it come off as if we are bitter people, right?
Yes, you are.
But me as an individual, I think we acknowledge, all right? He ascended to power. He's there. all
He's
right?
the president.
And he is president, and that is not going away.
And you're a member of the Uganda Law Society?
For now.
Yes.
For now.
Yes, you're
Yes.
a member of the Uganda Law
Yes,
Society.
Mr.
yes.
Sema,
For now. But this is something.
Mr. Simon,
Okay, let's take a
But-
very
but-
short break and return shortly. Good morning. Welcome back. It's still the Morning Breeze as we connect dots on what the Semakade presidency now means to the Uganda society in their pursuit of rule of law and constitutional governance. Well, at least by the time we went for a break, you agreed that Semakade is senior counsel.
You see the agreement here, what is enshrined in our law, right? While he serves as the president of the Uganda Law Society. But for me, I'm saying that he needs to earn and uplift himself to the occasion, right? You are saying we need to respect him. These are his words. I'll bury the Attorney General. Isn't the Attorney General senior counsel? All right? Attorney General will die. Those are his words. Isn't the Attorney General senior to him?
Head of bar.
He's a head of a bar. He has called the president of the Uganda Law Society, outgoing Mr. Bernard Owundo, a suck-up, a sissy. Right?
Bunny boy.
Now, you give me reason, really. You give me reason. Let us put it down to the denominator of family. You expect a father to come and abuse a mother on a daily basis and then earn respect of his children? No.
I think you're taking it personal because Semakade is presiding over council.
You see, Simon.
He has a council with him. So look at his government, not the person of Semakade.
Simon, by even law, he's being sworn in, I think, in October. Those are the new regulations, all right? They did a handover. He's supposed to be sworn in. Even if we are to go by the argument of the law, he's not serving currently. Ask him, was he in office yesterday? He wasn't there, all right? They handed over. He's being sworn in sometime next week, all right? If we are to go by the argument of the law. But I'm simply saying that seniority, him here, my brother Ivan Bowe, he started to pull the seniority punch, saying, no, I'm your senior, so please, carry some decorum. But that is not what the radical bar is saying.
That's not what I did.
No, that is not what the radical bar is saying.
That's not what I did.
The problem here...
I was just calling him to exercise what he preaches.
The problem here is that they cannot accept to drink from the same cup they are telling us to drink from. They are saying it is okay for me to say, Ivan, you are this. Bowe, you are this. But they attempt to test their tolerance for that kind of vulgar language.
What kind of scenario do you envisage? Do you see Chiriwa Chiwanuka reaching out to Semakade or vice versa?
Who needs the other? Who needs the other?
I think they both need each other.
No. The president of the Uganda Law Society needs the Attorney General more than the Attorney General.
So does the Attorney General.
He needs them, all right? But to what extent? The Attorney General can operate without the AG. The Attorney General can operate without Semakade. But can Semakade operate without the Attorney General?
Okay, Council Ivan, imagine that scenario. I think it's unprecedented that today there is an Attorney General and a president of Uganda Law Society who don't see eye to eye. What kind of regime is this going to be? What kind of tenure will it be?
You know...
Besides the hashtags of we are barring the Attorney General.
What is interesting is that the idea that a particular group of lawyers want us to believe that Uganda Law Society is subordinate to the whims and to the whims of the Attorney General is quite interesting and disgusting. I also want to state that the office of the Attorney General is not personal to holder. It's not personal to holder. Actually, I have held a very big opinion that we also need to be clear of what the Office of the Attorney General does. I am also of a view that with the amendments that probably would come in the Amendments Act, is that the Attorney General, who is a cabinet minister and a member of the executive, ceases to be the head of the bar. That would be very powerful. Because who is the bar? I ask the lawyers. We have our own association. 2 years after Council Semakade's reign, I would love my president of Uganda Law Society, whether I've supported him or not, to be the head of the bar, statutorily. So the idea that we give too much self-importance to the Attorney General, ULS needs the Attorney General. I mean, we are not operating normally.
Councillor Ivan.
And let me also clearly state this out. You know, it is not fresh that we have radical lawyers. The challenge is with our people, even lawyers, of which we have an oath to read and to read till death does us apart. We have neglected that duty. We have to study critically the role of radical lawyers in civil movements, social movements. Take it to the likes of...
No wonder Joshua prefers to say it's more of politics than...
No. You see, Mr. Nyanja Musoke, my good teacher at law school, then taught us development studies. You would question, why am I referring to him? I consider that course, development studies and jurisprudence, to be the core subjects in law, because they help you understand society. By law, by nature, we are not conformists. We are supposed to challenge status quo, challenge bad laws, defend rights, and these, in terms of defense of civil liberties and rights, social justice, these are embedded in...
So do you want to suggest that the Joshuas are conformists and you're the radicals?
Yes, we've unsettled them. And to me, what we are seeing today is a situation where they are uncomfortable, of which they should be uncomfortable. And we should also, in effect, call them to a higher standard. You see, we should call them to a higher standard as colleagues.
How long have you practiced law?
It's only 5 years now.
It's only 5 years,
Yes.
and you've attended 3 elections? 2?
Yes.
3 elections.
Yes.
But this is the most divisive election.
It's not divisive.
Will ULS ever be the same again with now Uganda Bar Association emerging? It's in the works.
You see, there are stages of grief. Yeah? There are stages of grief. My colleagues are at a certain stage, they know better. What I'm saying is that, one...
So as if you want them cancelled.
No. Me, I am okay with whatsoever they are doing, by the way. I'm very okay. I know the dust will settle. I am certain the dust will settle. And these ones, very few years from now, 1 or 2, you're going to see members from the other side vying for positions, and they will be subject to all of us again. You know, to vote for them in different positions at the local...
Well, very interesting. Joshua, as we get out of here, do you think Uganda Bar Association will fly?
Yes, Simon, while I get onto that, you see, I have one problem with these people that have ascended to power. They want to assert the dominancy of we've won, you've lost. Okay? That is already critical, creating a bar between the winners and the losers. All right? There is a minority group. Do not take lightly the 892 people that voted for that man. They have a force to reckon on. All right? If you decide that the argument we need to be having, we are better, you're losers, it is very dangerous. But
Yep.
then
800 would be inconsequential if you were to create a new formation. There
But-
is
but-
more than 1,000 on the other side.
Simon, who gives the better privileges?
Let's look at the balance.
Who would give the better privileges to pull numbers? The Uganda Law Society, today my subscription goes to ₦1,000,000 shilling. But if the UBA says you're subscribing at 200 and you still get your practicing certificate, that would be a check. Who would still pay the 1 million in the ULS? But that is not the conversation we want to have with them. let them not think that there is no concept, all right, to unsettle them and pull them back from that kind of attitude that they are growing with. That no, we won, you lost. That is not leadership. Him as the person that has ascended to power now, he should be finding a bearing. How do I bring these people?
So there is a new opposition in ULS.
We
And you
shouldn't-
belong to the
You see,
opposition.
we shouldn't call it the opposition. We are simply saying you are not representing our views. And you see, even his supporters actually do agree. They are saying, now Semakade has got a very big pull ahead. I think it's between a rock and a hard place. His supporters are seeking for blood. And I know...
No, that's not true.
Just a minute.
That's
His
not true.
supporters are
That's
seeking
not
for
true.
action. We need action packed.
Yep.
Tell us, we go and riot at the gates of the judiciary. And then Semakade now, where he is seated,
So that's the crop that voted for him. Eh?
Ye-
They are rioters.
it should be somehow to an extent. And then there are
I
some
think
people...
it is very unfair to characterize
Ivan,
us-
Ivan,
Oh, okay,
Ivan.
allow him make
And
his
then
submission.
somehow, him now where he is seated, he's yearning for leadership. He's a ransom of his supporters. He has two ways to go, all right? Either to conform to the standards of working with stakeholders and fail his supporters. It won't take so much that Ivan Bowe now, he will tweet after 2-3 months and call him a sellout. Or he chooses to go radical and still fail. You see, Simon, the Uganda Law Society cannot work in isolation, all right? You need stakeholders. You need sponsors, okay? You need all these people on board for you to be able to function. What makes you think that the president of the Uganda Law Society will be invited at the New Year's where you have the head of state and he bangs tables? He won't. Yes, he may give a moving speech. Then he will disappoint his people. They will call him a sellout. So that is the place where I see Semakade to date, all right?
So you want to suggest that what he was saying was mere rhetoric. Practically, it's impossible for him to bang tables.
Simon, invite me here 4 months from now. We assess. He won't bang any tables.
One,
Do you see your president banging tables?
you-
Or he's going to be bound, or he's going to be affected by the circumstances of the office?
it's so interesting that banging the table to them means going and hitting the table.
Literally.
That's figurative. But let me tell you, we've had to hit the tables to bang them. We are still banging them. I've banged them so many times in different formats. Sometimes I've demonstrated, mobilized demonstration. I have written. I have been on these spaces to air out very unpopular opinions to whosoever it is. I am banging the table. It's just that I am banging it differently. One thing I don't want is for us to try to behave like an ostrich that hides its head in the bush and leaves the entire behind outside, and it thinks it's actually hiding. I want to be hands-on. Do we need action-packed? Oh, yes, I want action-packed. I want action-packed. You say, lawyers must be protected. I need action. I need my president to say you cannot.
So should we brace ourselves for a chaotic couple of years under the reign of Semakade?
No. I also do not agree the fact that they are characterizing that we want to go demonstrate. If boycott demonstrations is a tool, and we've assessed and we think it works, we shall deploy it. I don't like this business of 800 people who I respect and who I believe are entitled to their opinion, thinking that the 2,000 plus are stupid, mad, they do not know what they want. It is very, it's a position
Well,
I find
we just
troubling.
need to get out of here, and I'll get your last word on this.
Yes, Simon, while we get here, you see, let us not mistake the people's mandate, all right?
Yes.
I was on the campaign trail with our candidate, all right?
You had a weak candidate, right?
Not a weak candidate, all right? We had a candidate that did not garner enough votes to merge as a winner. While on this campaign
Yeah, but this
trail,
was a landslide. Look
No,
at the
while on
margin.
this
The
campaign
margin is
trail-
telling.
Simon, did you see the environment in Munyonyo? We were coming from the AGM, all right? People had their grievances from the AGM. It set us about 1,200 aggrieved members walking to the ballot. Had we voted on the pre-AGM, do you think we would have the same results? No, I do not think. So let the mandate of the people not be abused, okay? They are not sending you to bury the Attorney General. They are not sending you to abuse and call the head of the Director of Public Prosecution a rotten tomato. That is not the mandate they are giving you. And while we go forward...
No, but it was his campaign tag.
You see, but it won't work. It won't work. Like he says, that dog won't hurt. If he dare continues with that kind of rhetoric and language, I can simply tell you, and all his supporters, it won't work.
Joshua Semakade is your president.
He's elected president. I didn't vote him. He's elected president. That we can agree on.
Would you be courteous enough and call him Senior Counsel Isaac Semakade?
The moment he rises up to the task of that name, I can tell you without reservations, I'll give him what he deserves.
For now?
For now, he doesn't.
Good morning.